Now, if you're taking this course, you probably already know that learning JavaScript is really hard. It's not necessarily the hardest programming language to learn or the most complicated. A language like C is much more difficult to learn in my opinion, but the thing that JavaScript has that makes it so difficult is that it's very confusing and convoluted. It's a fairly old language, not one of the oldest, but it's been around for quite a while. And because of the nature of it being tied to the web, it actually changes very quickly because web development is an ever-evolving field that's constantly improving upon itself, and JavaScript is no different. JavaScript is vastly different than what it looked like when it was first created, and because of that, there's tons of misinformation about what to use, because there's old ways of doing things, there's new ways of doing things, there's things in between the old way and the new way, there's hacks, there's this, there's that. There's so many things about JavaScript where you can do the exact same thing 10 different ways, and it's really confusing, especially when you're getting started, to figure out what is the best technique to use. Should you use this old thing, this new thing? What is new? What is old? It's really hard to tell. So in this course, I'm going to be trying to break down only the most important concepts that you need to know and steering you towards the most modern new way of doing things instead of teaching you this old antiquated way of doing things. This will help make learning JavaScript a lot easier since all of that misinformation and difficulty of choosing what to learn will be gone, but it's still incredibly difficult because on top of all of the confusingness around JavaScript, it's still a full-fledged programming language. So you need to learn tons of computer science-y related concepts in order to learn JavaScript. Now, learning computer science topics is really boring. Trust me, I took a whole computer engineering degree. They are incredibly boring. So I'm not going to bore you with all of that computer sciencey nonsense, but there are certain computer science related topics that you need to understand in order to learn JavaScript. And as we go through this course learning JavaScript, I'm going to be teaching those concepts to you and showing you how they apply inside of JavaScript in order to make it easy to understand for you. And to do that, I'm going to be using lots of metaphors and analogies to help relate these really confusing concepts to much more common things that you're already familiar with. One analogy that I like to use when it comes to learning JavaScript is that learning all of the features of JavaScript are like learning the words inside of a foreign language, like Spanish or English, for example. And that's great if you know a bunch of words inside of a foreign language, but in order to actually speak in a foreign language, you must form sentences, which means you need to know how to combine those words together. This course is going to teach you the words of the language, as well as, most importantly, how to combine those different words together. And once you understand both those concepts, JavaScript actually becomes incredibly easy and fun to work with because you get that connection. There's going to be a moment in this course where things just click for you. It goes from being incredibly confusing and difficult to all of a sudden you figure out how to connect the different words together. And once you do that, you can start speaking fluently, writing programs yourself, and that is the moment that writing JavaScript goes from being difficult and hard to being fun and enjoyable. Now, with that said, learning JavaScript is going to take you quite a while, and it's not going to be something you can learn in a day, for example. Even if you watched every single video in this course straight for whatever it is, 10, 11 hours, that's not going to make you learn JavaScript because there's so many things that you need to do with the exercises and the projects in this course that it's going to take you significantly longer than just the number of minutes and hours inside of this course to actually learn JavaScript. If you truly want to master JavaScript, I recommend going through this course at a slower pace. Don't rush through everything. Take it a section at a time, even sometimes a video at a time, and really practice all the exercises I talk about and do them before I show you the solution. Don't just watch through and let me show you the solution. Actually try to practice each and every exercise that I show you. That is going to help you get to that aha moment so much quicker where JavaScript becomes fun and enjoyable. If you want a time estimate on how long you should expect to spend on this course, I would say if you spend about 5 to 10 hours a week, about an hour a day on this course, it'll probably take you less than a month to complete the full course. Because if you spend, for example, 5 hours a week, that'll take you about 2 weeks if you just watched every single video straight through, which again, I don't recommend. And I would say that for each hour of video, there's at least 1 hour of you working through a project or doing some form of exercise yourself. So it's going to take at least twice that long to get through the course. So to get an accurate estimate, I would take the total hours of this course, multiply that number by 2, and that should give you a rough estimate of about how long it's going to take you to go through this course. It may take you significantly longer if you really try to learn through everything and do all of these exercises one by one, or it may be a bit quicker if you already have some familiarity with JavaScript, but that'll be a good starting point for you. So don't expect to rush through this course in one afternoon or even 1 week. It's going to take you longer than that. But that is okay because learning JavaScript, like I said, is difficult and it is a journey. But once you find that clicking aha moment, it becomes so much more amazing. Now in the next video, I'm going to be talking about probably the most important mindset that you need to have when going through this entire course. So I can't wait to see you in that video.